software-hardware integration, and as Rick talked about, one of the really important ingredients in the hardware side was the usage of InfiniBand as a high-speed fabric connecting the compute nodes and the storage together. What we did there is we actually looked at the WebLogic and coherent software and did a lot of engineering to take advantage of that increased bandwidth. One of the interesting things is when you have that kind of high bandwidth, when we looked at WebLogic and sort of analyzed how we connect to the database and how we connect between WebLogic server, it was really designed around the slower speed Ethernet environment. And so the end result is we're going, well, we're sending small messages because of the size of the networking that we had in the old generation. When we went to InfiniBand, we could send significantly larger messages. So we went from 4K to actually 64K message sizes. So we're moving more data at a faster rate over the network. Not only that, we actually parallelized all the connectivity. So it used to be a very small, thin pipeline with small messages. We were able to run multiple parallel connections between WebLogic and the database with larger message sizes. The end result was a radical reduction in latency, 10 times, a significant improvement in the overall workload, upwards of 60% larger workloads are handleable on the Exalogic machine. Not only did we do it on the inter-process layer because of InfiniBand, because we connect from the Exalogic Elastic Cloud to the Exadata environment via InfiniBand, we're also able to do significant optimizations between Exalogic and Exadata. And so here, it's pretty interesting, we're able to do some really significant high-speed connectivity over the JDBC driver. We're able to do unique fault tolerance because InfiniBand is a lossless, switchless fabric. So the end result is that incredibly high throughput here in the order of 3 times better OLTP throughput, and also a much more reliable connection to your backend database. Here's a bit of a summary of those numbers. I think you saw Larry show some of these last night. So running standard internet applications on the Exalogic box that's literally outside the door here that you can see running live over there. We're able to show over 1 million HTTP requests per second. That's 12 times more than running on standard hardware. The sort of analysis or the analogy in terms of what this really represents in terms of standard traffic is, if you read recently about Facebook, the number of HTTP requests that they have coming in, effectively 2 full racks would be able to host Facebook. So this is a very large set of web applications can be run on this infrastructure. Likewise on the messaging side, because as Rick said, we're running Java workflows. We've done a lot of optimizations around Java. Many of our largest customers are running messaging-based applications on this environment. Again, you can see it outside in the lobby out there. We're actually running message workloads upwards of 1.8 million messages per second. The sort of comparison to this is during China Rail's most busiest traffic periods, we can literally run their entire messaging workload on one Exalogic Elastic Cloud rack. So this can handle a significant workload set of processing on one of these boxes. It's not only messaging and internet applications, but when you actually look to OLTP type applications, database-backed applications, particularly when it's backed by Exadata, there's sort of 2 major pieces that come with the improvements that we've made through the optimizations I talked about. One is that there's a significant reduction in latency. So this means the response time that comes back from a request is significantly reduced. In this case, our analysis is showing upwards of 10 times a reduction in latency. And the way that we're able to do that is because the InfiniBand fabric is so high speed, we actually don't have to copy data around as much. There's actually a significant reduction in buffer copies, as it's called technically, to do this. And then, as I mentioned, we're able to actually send larger message sizes across the network when we use this. End result, significant latency reduction. When it turns into actual database interaction, so this is like inserts, updates, deletes against a backend is 2 to 3 times the performance increase or the workload that we can handle. This was actually done by integrating the clustering mechanism inside of Exadata and Exalogic together. So it's a unified clustering model. The end result is a significant reduction in the overhead in the connectivity between the two environments, and as a result, we're able to handle this or generate this much higher workload and handle a much higher workload. I want to sort of transition from the sort of extreme Java performance into operational costs and consolidation, sort of talk about this more from a cloud perspective. As Rick mentioned, the software and hardware is engineered to work together. You got a sense of the architectural changes that we've made in the software, but it is important to realize that we've also tied the deployment and configuration and operation of the hardware and software together. It's fundamentally in the product. So not only is the software designed to fully be deployed on this environment, to be sort of laid out how the storage should be laid out, how the compute node should be configured, how the software should be tuned specifically for the Exalogic box. We've done a huge amount of testing on this. There's literally over about 100 man-years of testing that we've done in this environment. Because it comes pre-integrated, we've told you exactly how to configure the software, how it should be laid out. The amount of time to deploy one of these boxes is significantly reduced, in the order of 95%. And that's literally going from months to days. That's why it's 95%. It's no longer do you have to have a storage person laying out your storage, and then a networking person laying out your networking, and then another person worried about your middleware. What you're getting is a pre-integrated, pre-tested, pre-engineered environment literally out of the box. And it's the end result is a significant reduction in operational cost and deployment time. When you think about this in a cloud environment, so now you reduce the deployment time, you reduce the operational costs of this entire environment. What's also interesting is how the environment scales out. So if you start moving a lot of your software and infrastructure onto an Exalogic Elastic Cloud, you might start with one box, as I think you heard Larry talk about last night. The single box comes in a quarter rack, half rack, full rack configuration. All of that internal infrastructure is connected through InfiniBand, high-speed networking. When you scale it out, you can go to 8 racks connected together. What's really interesting is that the way you connect these boxes together is through InfiniBand. So you end up having, instead of 8 boxes tied together by low-speed networking, it effectively becomes one computer. It's one pool of compute capacity, it's one pool of storage, it's one environment for your cloud-based applications. So of course, once you have that ability of lower operational costs, faster deployment, effectively a huge amount of capacity to run your load on there, we anticipate and expect our customers to be running our application infrastructure on here. So the Exalogic Elastic Cloud will run any application infrastructure. All of our software, both custom applications built in Java, as well as obviously our commercially available software, will run on this environment. Because of the capacity that we have here, both on a single box as well as on a cluster of racks, and literally you can run hundreds of applications on here. What we anticipate is that people will bring together their custom apps, their portals, their SOA infrastructure, their e-business suite, all of their applications from Oracle onto this single environment. And this is what we mean when we say run it in a cloud-based environment, is put all your applications on this consolidated, low operational cost infrastructure. And of course, when you do that, those applications will be running in a highly optimized, tuned, high-performance infrastructure. So we do see the Exalogic Elastic Cloud complementing exactly what was done in Exadata for data warehousing and OLTP, and then Exalogic Elastic Cloud for your cloud-based consolidation of your application environment. Rick